Fun. Hey. By gathering. We. Draw. Acknowledge. Strength. Hand. Resilience. From. Each. Other. And. Good. Greater. Hold. By gathering, we draw in knowledge, strength, and resilience from each other and a greater whole. Thank you. And until next time. Take. Care. Thank you, and until next time, take care.
Doubling is a 6. Singing is so serious. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah, go backwards. And the dismount. Yeah. And the Russian just gives him a 9.75.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the lunch and that you were able to make some great connections. The agenda for the rest of the event is as follows. Our last speakers will be Stephanie Fessa, Chris Stockton, and I will present last. The event will have a round table discussion. We will be hearing from our next speaker, Stephanie Fessa. Stephanie Fessa has earned her bachelor's degree and master's degree in communication studies at San Jose State University. Her master's degree project focused on individuals with significant mobility and communicative differences and their autonomy, independence, and sense of self. She recently served as a appointed special ed in education rights holder for and older youth with complex developmental needs. Additionally, she participated on AUC Davis Research Advisory Committee on Healthcare Inclusion for individuals with developmental hearing needs. She works as a peer counselor for those with AAC, needs through AAC, peer support, empowering individuals to find their voice, aiming to be solution focused, strength-based, and goal-oriented while sharing coping strategies and skills. She is pursuing a second master's degree in mental health counseling to become a mental health counselor and child, couple, and family therapist. She previously volunteered in classes for students with complex physical and communicative hearing abilities for 10 years. She lives in Sacramento, California, with her wife, their young child, and their Sandy Tank. Stephanie is not able to join us this evening because of medical issues, so she has prepared a video presentation.
Hello, everybody. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Passos, but my preferred name is Steph. I am so passionate about mental health that I'm earning my second master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. I aim to become a mental health counselor and marriage and family therapist for those in marginalized communities, such as AAC communicators. Today, I am going to discuss AAC communicators' mental health, specifically the unique challenges that we face, minority stress, and the significant effects on us and our mental health. I think we can agree on assistive technology. For example, AAC empowers us to live our best lives. Although AAC can definitely contribute to our quality of life, we often deal with this broken world that does not fully understand or include us. We may wrestle with ableism quite frequently. Some of us do not know what ableism is. Ableism can be described as the oppression against people with differing abilities. It can be discrimination, prejudice, and prejudgments toward people who have differing abilities because the social location of disabled individuals is not in the privileged group. Ableism is similar to other oppressions such as racism, sexism, ageism, and homophobia, where ableism has different ways to be expressed. The ways would be considered ideas, expectations, overgeneralizations, attitudes, practices, environmental barriers, inaccessibility, microaggressions, and /or behavior. Ableism can be bold or subtle, intentional or unintentional, and direct or indirect. So, ableism can lead us to have a huge amount of minority stress. Minority stresses and ongoing psychological anxiety or depression that stems from ableism for us. Minority stress comes from the extra societal pressure and stress that individuals from marginalized groups feel since they are treated differently. Then minority stress can create and reinforce our mental health issues and physical health conditions. Basically, ableism can lead minority stress, and minority stress may create mental and physical health challenges. I'll give you a personal example. I feel vulnerable to tell you all about this example of my personal minority stress and how it influenced my complex mental health needs. Those who are in a manual wheelchair have limited freedom on where to go, but whoever pushes their wheelchair has the freedom for the manual wheelchair users to go wherever. It places the freedom from the wheelchair users to whoever pushes the wheelchairs as if they quote cart man the wheelchairs like one pushes a shopping cart of items at a store. If there is a conflict between the wheelchair users and whoever pushes the wheelchair pusher has the power over the wheelchair user on where they are going in attempt to control the behavior of the wheelchair user. It had happened to me where my wheelchair was being pushed angrily and forcefully to wherever the person wanted to gain control over me. Whenever that happened, I did not feel like a human even, but instead I felt like an object to be carted around. This example of objectification comes from a belief of people with complex physical and communicative differing abilities are less than, which stems from ableism. This situation caused me to have minority stress, believing that I am not a complete human. Such belief created and reinforced my complex mental health needs, exacerbating my bipolar and complex trauma issues. So, I did not cope healthily as this minority stress of being objectified. I coped by having anger issues toward that person and addictive tendencies. Thankfully, I found healing in participating in mental health therapy and anchoring myself to my values, such as my faith. Now, I use my complex mental health conditions, complex trauma and bipolar, as my strength to connect and to feel confident helping others. My story is common among ADHD communicators. Many of us experience so much minority stress that some of us have mental health challenges. Minority stress that ADHD communicators face with usually derives from discrimination, not accessible environments, and assumptions about us, which leads our anxiety, depression, or overall psychological discomfort. I'm not talking about anxiety and depression as official mental health conditions, but what I'm talking about is anxiety and depression as a part of a human experience. One of the common signs of depression that we experience is feeling lonely, which leads us to feeling isolated. Many people think communicating on ADHD systems automatically is isolating them. However, it is so much more complex than that, involving minority stress. We humans are significantly more complicated than believing that we ADHD communicators automatically make us being isolated without considering the minority stress and societal expectations for us. So, how do we combat this minority stress so that we would have less anxiety and depression? I believe confidence and connectedness are critical to fight the minority stress in our mental health. I am going to discuss confidence first. The first step of becoming confident is working on our values. Values are what is important to us and what we want to make priorities in our lives. For example, my values are my faith, independence, committed and monogamous marriage, parenting, autonomy, and my health. As AAC communicators, we might not think of our values because we're in survival mode from real life, dealing with ableism and handling minority stress. Finding our personal values and anchoring ourselves to them sounds too much work, but finding values that meet our personal lives is essential to fight minority stress. Living our value-based lives will help us with gaining confidence and a healthy sense of self, so that we will be more equipped to deal with our minority stress and its effects on our mental health. It is such a chain reaction. For example, once I found my personal values included my faith, autonomy, my physical and mental health, and independence, committed and monogamous marriage, and started embracing them, I had more control over my bipolar, complex trauma issues, and addictive tendencies. You might not have my mental health issues, but you may experience perfectionism, over-shopping, controlling, anxiety, depression, or anger. Hope you find your personal values and live in your own value-based life so that you can gain confidence to fight against minority stress. The second step to develop confidence to address our minority stresses, we can radically accept ourselves even when we feel disappointed in ableism. Radical acceptance means acknowledge the pain without suffering, accepting the facts of reality with having no emotional meltdowns, and realizing the painful reality is just the reality. When we believe it is what it is, we practice radical acceptance. This concept empowers us to do what we can control while letting go of what we cannot control. We can say to ourselves, I notice my brain is having a thought that I hate nasty assumptions that the world says about people who communicate differently. This skill creates a distance from our thoughts. It's sort of like we can take a step back from our intense thoughts. A significant amount of radical acceptance conveys we cannot change the past. It is waste of the time to fight what's already happened, as the present is the only moment we have control over. Every time we feel sad or guilty or ashamed about anything, we must anchor ourselves in the here and now by observing and describing non-judgmentally our surroundings. Being in the here and now can equip us to do extraordinary things, which builds confidence. The more confidence we have, the more strength we can have to fight minority stress. Next, I am going to talk about how to connect with others so that we can fight with and overcome our minority stress. Having mental health issues such as anxiety and depression want us to be isolated rather than be connected to others. Minority stress and deal with ableism just add another layer to not wanting us to connect with people. So how can we say yes to connections with others while saying no to isolation? I think empathy is a key ingredient of connection, not finding a new group of people to hang with, nor are we forcing ourselves to be more extrovert than we actually are. Most people who feel lonely have so many individuals in their life, so it's not the problem. But the issue is, we need to practice empathy in our relationships. What in the world does empathy mean? According to one of the most fancy pants researchers, Brene Brown, empathy means perspective taking of others, which creates and reinforces connections, as opposed to sympathy that cultivates disconnections. Aside from empathy means perspective taking, it is also being non-judgmental, acknowledging and respecting others' emotional experiences, and communicating those emotions to them. It's so difficult to practice, though, especially the communicating about the other's emotions to them part. Since not able to communicate others' emotions is a part of being neurodivergent, it looks different to some of you. And some of you have a limited amount of vocabulary on you guys' EAC systems, so it is hard to convey others' emotions. But we could move forward saying that I think you feel good or I think you feel bad. It's okay not to say specific emotion, as our job is to acknowledge, respect, and communicate others' experiences rather than be specific vary with their emotions, just like what mental health counselors would do. Another thing that we could do is to say, I can't imagine how you feel, but I'm here for you. This is an empowering statement that expresses so much empathy. Another significant part of empathy is to be with people's emotions and daily lives as it shapes and maintains connections with them. Empathy says, I know you're going through tough times. I know how it feels. Empathy is not silver lining others' difficult times, which would reinforce disconnection. Instead, empathy is feeling with individuals. We could say something like, I appreciate that you feel comfortable enough to share this with me. I would argue that empathy automatically creates relationships with people. Connections with others equip us to overcome our minority stress. Overcoming our minority stress may reduce anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. Decreasing mental health issues can equip us to connect with others. It's a cycle of developing empathy, empowering connections, reducing minority stress, decreasing mental health issues, and then developing connections. Today we discussed about ableism leads us to have minority stress, and minority stress can create and reinforce mental health issues. To fight against minority stress, we need to embrace confidence and connectedness. We have a choice between quelling our minority stress and mental health issues and cultivating confidence and connectedness. Which one will you choose?
But it's not like she doesn't want to do it. It's just a matter of just like
I want to thank Stephanie for making her presentation for us despite poor medical vision.
sorry. She asked me.
We would now like to welcome Chris Harper to the stage. Dave Beck is a member of the United States Society for Augmentative and Alternative Communication USA. He or two share more about their important work and initiatives supporting AAC users across the U.S.
Optional group and then I don't think so, but Fidel wants to know. That's all.